Hey guys, today I will be talking about Sebastian Daniels. Now if you're new to this project or challenge that I'm doing, I am doing 4 pieces for Huevember and Nomvember, meaning that I am doing 4 monochromatic pieces centered around characters from my novel Listening to Georgiana, where they are placed in an environment that they're familiar with or comfortable with, along with food or drink that they love or like. In the cases of the 3 previous pieces, including this one, the food and the drink has been something that they go to as a means of a personal emotional connection to it, and I get in depth about that in the stories that I write. And you can find the stories on my website. The story for this will be linked in the description, and also up there will be links to the other 2 videos if you haven't seen it. And also, if you're new to this channel, I am June of Junesketches. My channel is all about art and writing and combining both those things. This particular project is heavily based on putting those 2 things together, and I hope you watch all my videos, all 4 videos. What's on your mind? Like I promised last video, I am going to be talking about my process. I started this project with digital sketches. I pre-planned the sketches the month before in October, and I did the main poses within Photoshop, because I felt that it was a lot easier to tweak around the body in there. And then I print out the sketch. It doesn't have any details. I print out the sketch and then I copy it. I don't have a light box. I don't own one, so I will usually trace over it during the day, and I'll put it in front of my window. For this piece, I do start it at night, and so I had to think of a way to create my own light box. And to do that, I just got a plastic container that's clear, a white clear plastic container, and I put my phone inside with the flashlight on, and I just traced using that. It's not very useful because the light is like a spotlight, so I had to keep moving the paper around. The next part is me just sketching some more and adding details that I didn't have on the sketch. And once I'm comfortable with that sketch, with the entire look, I will start with painting. I am using the Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolor, and if you need to see the entire list of supplies, I have it down in the description. You can look in there as well. This watercolor was a gift from a friend 2 years ago, and it has been a very useful gift. I really like the color and the vibrancy. I used to use the Artist Loft, I think it was a 16 pan set, I forget, but it's the $8 Artist Loft one, which I used in my other videos before, and I'll show it. I'll have like different videos I'll be posting throughout this year and next year where I'm still using that painting, but that's because the art that's been filmed is like 2 years old, 2 or 3 years old, and that's why I am still using it there. but I don't use that anymore, and I just stick with the Winsor & Newton because I like the colors better and they don't come off as chalky. I personally think I wouldn't have been able to do this monochromatic project if I was still using the Artist Loft, because I could never really get really pigmented colors from that set. When I try to build up colors like I do in this piece and the other two pieces, it just kind of rubs off with the Artist Loft, but with the Winsor & Newton, it's really easy to just build the colors from light to dark, or tinted to pigmented. With this particular piece, I had a lot of difficulty playing with the sky blue color. I call it sky blue, but it's not actually sky blue. The blue that I'm actually using is called phthalo blue, or intense blue. I guess phthalo means intense. Here it says on the Winsor & Newton packaging label thingy, so it says Permanence A, Pigment PB15. So I guess that's like how much blue I guess it's how much blue pigment there is. I have two blues, and the other blue is ultramarine, but that one comes off a little bit more purpley, and that's the sort of color that I used for Georgiana, the piece before this. And so I'll build up the colors, like I said, and I'll continue with the watercolor for a while. It's usually the longest part of this process is that the watercoloring, because I do use the watercolor throughout the piece. Whereas when I go to do the colored pencils is focused mostly on the character and any other darker lines I want to add in. For Abby, she came off quite warm, and that at the end of the whole piece I decided I would add back in a bit of cool colors. So I do add in a bluish shadow for her just to make the orange pop more. And for Georgiana, I added the bit of red violet into her color scheme, even though I mainly stuck with the blue violet type of color because I wanted to add in a bit of warmth. For this piece, rather than adding in warmth, because this is all cool color, a cool tone, I decided I would keep it as is, and I would play with keeping certain parts of the page white. So some of the areas in this painting of Sebastian, there's a lot of just the white paper that I don't paint on. For example, for his face, I add in the shadows and I use the white of the paper as his actual skin color. And I think doing that added a lot to the artwork, because in the other two pieces I do color them in and they have their own sort of skin tone, which is the lightest tone of that color. And I think it also defines the indoor to the outdoor. I'm thinking of doing the same thing for my fourth piece, but I'll have to do my color study. And also, like, part of the reason why I decided to keep the white is because in my color study, it didn't look as good when I added in the very light tone of blue and then built up from there. It worked for clothes and the background, but it didn't really work for his skin. He looked a little sickly, and it reminded me of the blue period for Picasso, and I wasn't trying to give off that same feeling. I wanted something less, I guess, sad. A little bit about the character. Sebastian Daniels is not like the other two. He isn't a resident of the Mason, or he's not currently a resident of the Mason. He was when he was younger, and he comes to visit whenever he needs some sort of sabbatical vacation, and so he uses the Mason as his getaway place. In the book, Sebastian comes around Christmas time, and he's there because of a breakup that he just went through, and I think he's just so drastically different from the two girls because this guy is open-hearted and open to possibilities, whereas Abby is reluctant and Georgiana is closed off. Coincidentally enough, I ended up picking two girls from the story that are a lot alike in the emotional aspects, and then this guy and the guy that I'll be doing next are both very open. But in the story there are other characters but in the story it's not quite like that. I don't want to say that all the girls in the story are gonna be like Abby and Georgiana, because that's not true. It's just that somehow the characters that fit these colors happen to be that type of personality. I don't know, I felt like I needed to clear that up. For Sebastian Daniels, I gave him coffee with whipped cream because why not? In the short story that I write, which again you can read his short story, the link is down below in the description, I talk about the importance of coffee to him. I initially had the idea of giving coffee to Georgiana, but I don't think she actually drank coffee in the book, or if she did, it would be like a flashback that she has. And you're probably confused because I'm talking about a book that hasn't been published, but actually you can read the first two chapters on Wattpad, and you can see some of my thoughts also on the characters that I have on Wattpad or on my website. I have all the information on my website about the book and I'm actually working on getting it published. It's currently being edited, and I would really like to self-publish it. It's a book that I wrote over the course of 10 years. 11 if you're counting this year, but I did finish it last year around this time, November. Or no, I finished it last year, September. And it's taken a while to get the ball rolling. But yeah, it's a novel that I'm really proud of. And again, you can read it on Wattpad if you guys want to. And if not, that's okay. I hope that you're enjoying this project so far, because I am really enjoying it. I feel that it has posed a lot of challenges for me, and it has given me the opportunity to grow as an artist and learn from piece to piece to piece. And I hope that I am still challenging myself by the time I create the last piece. Even though he is surrounded by pretty much a lot of white compared to the other two pieces, I am really liking this one because it's so different from how I usually work. I'm really liking this one because it's so different from those two. With Abby, I focused on the character and the table in front of her. With Georgiana, she's surrounded by so much detail and kind of bogs down on you. And I think that with each piece, it's very representative of what kind of people they are. With Abby, she tends to stick around a certain area, and so other parts that she's not paying attention to is void of any real detail. Whereas with Georgiana, she's so focused on every little detail that everything around her, it has detail. And for Sebastian, he's focused in himself as well as his surroundings, but at the same time it just kind of has that freedom or free feeling, and like he's not surrounded by anything, and anything that he needs he has with him. And I think that being able to distinguish these types of characteristics through each painting has been something that I have really been able to do and execute well, at least in my point of view. And even though I do it almost subconsciously, it still makes me proud that I can have these 3 different pieces look so different but still feel like they're from the same project or series, or like they belong together, the pieces. And I think I really like this project because of that. I get to explore in different aspects, but at the same time they're cohesive. And I think I will be doing this sort of project again, not anytime soon, as I am focusing on my comic book, but later on, when I have a more solid idea of what I want to do, I will definitely tackle something similar to this.
Like I am dreaming, letting go of these demons. I just wanna know what's on your mind. There's not enough reasons, it's not like I need them. I just wanna know what's on your mind. What's on your mind? It's like 3 a.m., you're still on my mind. Let's not waste no time, just tell me how you're feeling. You still have my heart, although we've been apart. Let's go back to the start, I think we're both too brief. See the tunnel light, it's never been so bright. I haven't lost the fight, you let me keep believing. You still give me chills, I do it for the thrill. Yeah, you still give me chills. Yeah, I feel like I can tell you anything. No white lies, compromise, just stop your angel wings. Let's continue what we do and build the trust again. You can tell me what to do. Feels like I am dreaming, letting go of these demons. I just wanna know what's on your mind. There's not enough reasons, it's not like I need them. I just wanna know what's on your mind. What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
When I finished doing the watercolor painting for this one, I wasn't sure if I was going to do the colored pencils because it looked done to me, but at the same time I wasn't sure if it was done. So I did ask for some opinions from family and friends, and in the end I decided I would add in the colored pencils. I decided that when I add in the colored pencils, it wouldn't be as prominent as it was in the other two pieces. I like the texture that it makes, but for this piece I wasn't really looking for that texture anywhere. So in the end I added the colored pencils as darker shadows, and I think that really helped pop him out. The color, the texture, and the darker color that I achieved using those colored pencils set him apart from the background, which I am glad that I decided I would go for the colored pencils in the end. But like I said, I don't go heavy on it like I did on the other two pieces because I like the initial look that I ended up with when I finished the watercoloring. Basically, this last lap in the process is just me correcting things and adding a few details if it needs to be added. Because this piece doesn't have a lot of that, I do focus a lot at the center of the picture, the painting, and I try to create the tree more tree-like. I did wish I added a little bit more texture to the bark of the tree, but at the same time I didn't want to take away from the character and just how the line, the eye travels around the painting.
What's on your mind? You make me love and hate you at the same time. I feel like loving you is like committing a crime. How can you make me come and act just at the same time and let you take the crown? You made me nervous and I pretend that I'm just fine. I don't know why you gotta keep messing with my mind. Let me open up my heart and let you inside. My heart is jumping around. Yeah, I feel like I can tell you anything. No white lies, compromise, just stop your angel wings. Let's continue what we do and build the trust again. You can tell me what to do. Feels like I am dreaming, letting go of these demons. I just wanna know what's on your mind.
So we're just about at the end of this video. I hope that you enjoyed hearing and seeing the process. There's really not much to it, it's pretty basic. I'm still quite a beginner in watercolor and colored pencils and putting them together, but maybe sometime in the future I can do a breakdown of a similar process or project, and to actually show you guys how I do things. But it'll have to be small so that it doesn't run long, because honestly this particular piece took less time than the other two. I think with Abby it took me 16 hours. With Georgiana it took me probably 10 or 12 maybe. And this one was about also around 6 to 10 hours. I think for Abby it took a while because it was my first piece and I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. But yeah, I think this is it. But yeah, this is it. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe and also hit that bell notification to be notified for when I next update. I do post more regularly on Fridays. This is a bonus video, and so yeah, see you next video. Bye.